that if all men and women, whatever the differences between them, cling to the truth with respect for the unique dignity of every human being, a new world order
we now experience. There also exists an extraordinary opportunity to form for the first time in history a truly global society. Nevertheless, the United States is in a key position to shape this so that the problem of the Bush presidency will be the emergence of a new international order.
Within the next 4 years, we will see the emergence of a new international order.
The beginning of a new international order, and it could well be.
Развернулся в своем движении в другом направлении, к новому мировому порядку.
I think even that does not describe why the world has changed so much and why the world has turned so much toward a new world order and a new kind of
civilization. We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
What is at stake is more than one small country. It is a big idea, a new world order, where diverse nations are drawn together in common cause to achieve the universal aspirations of mankind: peace and security, freedom, and the rule of law. Out of these troubled times, our fifth objective, a new world order, can emerge. Now we can see a new world coming into view. A world in which there is a very real prospect of a new world order.
In 1989, President Bush said, and it's a phrase that I often use myself, that we needed a new world order.
About the new world order. And this is the best chance to begin to establish the new world order.
All these new challenges are bringing together about the biggest restructuring we have ever seen, not just of the global economy, but of the global order as a whole. And 200 years ago, a famous British Foreign Secretary said that the New World had been called into existence to redress the balance of the old. In 1990, another old world ended, dominated by the Cold War, and people talked then, in 1990, of a new world order. What they actually meant then was a new political order. And what was not foreseen then, but is obvious now from everything that we see and do, what we experience in every day of our life, is the sheer scale and speed and scope of globalization. And it's only now that we can begin to understand that the world order that globalization brings and what it's going to look like, it's driven forward now not just by the balance of military strength, the Cold War times, or ordinary political power. It's being driven forward by a seismic shift in economic power that we see around us. But what does the New World Order mean for countries like ours who are looking to succeed? I suggest that the countries that are going to succeed are those that combine flexibility, free trade, open markets, with proper stewardship of the environment and investment in education, infrastructure and innovation. And the question for us is how we meet and master all these challenges to ensure that Britain enhances its competitiveness in the process and realizes what I believe is our destiny of success in this new world order. So, in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, a new world is emerging. It is a new world order with significantly different and radically new challenges for the future.
intends to pursue, together with all people of goodwill around the world, this battle to build the new world order of the 21st century.
Is not whether they are politically agile and whether they're smart and whether whether they're savvy. All of those things they are. I think the big question is whether they have the capacity to construct a conceptual framework for American policy for the years ahead. We have lacked such a framework over the last few years since the Berlin Wall collapsed. The consensus we had, the understanding we had about what our purpose and what our role in the world should be, what the underlying tenets of American foreign policy obviously have disappeared, and no one yet has been able to come up with a coherent framework. George Bush tried. You remember just after the war against, during the conflict with Saddam Hussein, which he handled so superbly in a short-term sense, but he kept talking about a new world order. And then President Bush, at the end of that war, promised he would give 4 graduation addresses, 4 commencement addresses, describing that new world order and what America's role was going to be in it. Turned out he gave one of those addresses and canceled the other 3 and talked about something else. That's because they weren't ready yet to define that new framework. And we've had that same absence of a framework during the Clinton administration. It is, I think, the biggest challenge facing us, because it not only can give us a sense of where we are going, but it also can help in bringing the American people more fully into the support of what we're trying to do, because people now don't quite understand it. It seems very ad hoc.
We say very clearly that we are not focused, as some have suggested, on establishing a new world order, but rather bringing order to a new world.
This is Lou Dobbs Tonight. News, debate, and opinion for Tuesday, March 3rd. Live from New York, Lou Dobbs.
Good evening, everybody. President Obama and British Prime Minister Gordon today calling for a new world order to tackle our global economic crisis. President Obama said globalization can be an enormous force for good. Prime Minister Brown again pushing for what he calls a global New Deal paid for by the United States.
A meeting of the U.S. President and British Prime Minister used to mean talk of war and peace, but it's all about the global economic meltdown now.
My main message to the American people is to just recognize that we dug a very deep hole for ourselves. There were a lot of bad decisions that were made. We are cleaning up that mess. It's going to be sort of full of fits and starts in terms of getting the mess cleaned up. But it's going to get cleaned up.
Prime Minister Gordon Brown is wounded at home and wanted a full-fledged news conference to stand beside a popular new leader. Instead, Brown got a more low-key meeting in the Oval Office. And yet, unlike Tony Blair, he didn't seem to mind being considered the American president's poodle.
Well, there have been extraordinary scenes in Berlin tonight as thousands of people gathered to hear Barack Obama deliver key foreign policy speech on his current European tour. The Democratic presidential hopeful laid out his vision for America's place in the new world order, saying he was speaking as a proud citizen of the United States. And
in Europe, view that America is part of what has gone wrong in our world. View that America is part of what has gone wrong in our world. View that America is part of what has gone wrong in our world.
Y'all weak ass niggas, hope, hope, change, hope, Obama, this old hamburger ass eating nigga on a fucking 4-year publicity show. Catch the motherfucking Obama tour. Where's all the motherfucking change? All y'all that's riding on this nigga's jock.
her emotions ran high following Obama's speech.
It was the most memorable time of my life. It was a touching moment because I never thought this day would ever happen. I won't have to worry about putting gas in my car. I won't have to worry about paying my mortgage. You know, if I help him, he's going to help me.
And he ain't nothing but a fucking white boy with a tan.